I do not support Coke, but sometimes it helps me with nausea. Weird.
You're nauseous?
No.
Okay. Guys, no guest today. This is just going to be Courtney and I talking about a topic that she has decided. So this is the Love Heals podcast, and I'm still learning our new intro, so bear with me as I read it, where we share stories from founders, healers, and innovators, redefining how we care for ourselves and care for each other. And today, we're going to be deep diving into the Epstein files. So wouldn't that be crazy? Liam, roll that theme song.
The organization is called Love Heals.
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 Love Heals. No one should have to walk through hardship alone.
Before we get started, we want to shout out our season 2 sponsor, Christine Avery with Realty One Group Leading Edge, trusted realtor and home matchmaker serving Central Virginia, including Lynchburg and Richmond. She helps first-time homebuyers, downsizers, and military families confidently navigate the buying and selling process. Christine is also bilingual and proudly assists Spanish-speaking clients and is a wonderful person. We love Christine. So thanks, Christine.
Shout out.
And shout out to Liam with Roaring Run Productions, who is our podcast producer this season. So thanks, Liam. All right, Court, you wanted to dive
Well, first, before I start talking, what did you want to talk about?
I thought it would be, and I'm sure we've already discussed it in excess, so I don't know if we actually need to talk about it, but my thought was just to kind of harp more on what we talked about with Rob a bit last week, and what we talked about this morning of like the actual impact of helping one person, which we talk about a decent amount, but like kind of how, at the very least, I think in the past week, we've had not a difference in like my opinion on that hasn't changed, but I think I've gotten a better understanding, or at least a refreshed understanding of our stuff with individuals. But
We'll say more. What do you mean your opinion hasn't changed, but you've gotten a like what does that define it?
well, I mean, like we did a whole year harping around or with the slogan like one is enough, because we have had people say that we don't help a large number of individuals. So we've had a lot of people like coming at us for not helping a large number of people, that we work with individuals only. And that kind of gets buried in all the noise.
Define coming at us, because I don't want people to think like, oh, you guys are constantly being blah, blah, blah. How does that manifest? Like, what do you mean when you say coming at us? Like, I know it feels like that, but like, what is the more like, where, how does it, how
More
does
politically
it,
correct term.
not even like, how does it manifest? Like, what does it actually look like if you were to say, these are like the ways in which it's,
Well, like we're not eligible for a lot of grants because we don't help mass amount of people. Anyone who wants to give us, or would potentially be like a larger donor, they want to see numbers. They want to see like what's the output of the money that they're donating, and that normally equates to numbers. And when we help individuals, while we have raised a decent amount of money and we've been able to make that money stretch really far, we're still helping like individuals. And we've tried to kind of quantify it in the amount of audience members that we have at each show. Like we may be helping one person, but we helped 250 people by sharing their story.
which to be fair should be brought up. I think a lot of it's shifting your expectations, which I'm learning. Like, is it frustrating to have those questions asked? Yes. But if I was a donor, would I ask those questions? Absolutely, I would be asking those questions.
Frustrating.
I do. I find it frustrating.
I think it's frustrating when we're working with a specific individual, like when we're fundraising for someone, and in the process of talking about that person, someone brings that up. It's frustrating for me because I'm like, hey, we're literally trying to help a NICU baby, or we're literally trying to do blah, blah, blah. But I think when we're just talking about Love Heals in general, I don't think it's necessarily an opinion shift, but it's refreshing to have a reminder that like, shouldn't one shouldn't one be enough? Like, if the only impact that we make, which I don't think that that's true because we have people in different states that we've helped, but if the only impact that we're making every day is our direct circle of like influence, as long as we're having intentional conversations like we just had, as in love, as long as we're and respect, and as long as we are trying to genuinely impact the individuals and we're not impacting them at a surface level but at a core level, then that impact, even if it's one person today, should be enough. So
don't you see how, like, doesn't it seem that people's greatest need is being heard? Doesn't that feel like that is like at the end of the day, like, okay, I've been saying it, shout out like Amy, but she's a healing person, right? Why is she a healing person? Because she sees, so we'll have her on the podcast eventually, but she sees what, how you're created, what you're gifted in, and then calls that up. That has meant so much to me as a person. And so it's like, what a gift to give somebody, like the ability to see into how they were designed, how they're created, where they thrive, and call them up. Like today in a voice memo, she said that I have an anointed imagination. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Actually, that is actually in line with so much of what I have felt in my, I guess, prayer life or whatever, is like, where people will be like, you're such a visionary. But like, I do feel like God has asked me to dream with him. And I do feel like I just get these ideas that they're just like colorful ideas, and then executing them might be hard, but like so many little things. So anyway, just the gift of people seeing you. I don't know how to measure it, but like, I think that's like the most important thing.
Well, that's the thing, is what you just said is immediately you went back to like, I don't know how to measure it. And that's the thing that we're always being brought back to by people that we talk to, is how do you measure that? Okay, how do you measure that? Okay, that's cool. How do you measure that? Oh, you talk to a person a day. What kind of impact is that? Which is good. Like, you do want to see return. But I think just like with the growth that we had last year, like organizationally, and like the different markets we're spreading into and stuff like that, it just brings at least my brain back to like, okay, numbers, impact, how do we measure or whatever. But I still think it's good to just have the very human reminder without immediately thinking, how do we measure that? And at least just sit in it for a little bit. But
sorry.
Anyway, that was my thing.
Okay, cool. No, I like it. There's been a series of freeing conversations in the last, since Friday, it's Monday. I feel like just like really good freeing conversations, like last night. Speaking of the one is enough. Okay, one is enough. Helping one person, it's enough. We talk with Dorothy. Shout out Dorothy for the sourdough bread. She's like, I just feel like I can change Lynchburg one loaf of bread at a time, because she bakes bread and gives it to people. That you can change. Like, yeah, it sounds so stupid, but like truly, like these little acts of kindness are actually being intentional. To become known as the bread lady,
literally change a small community. And if you can change a small community, that community impacts people outside. It just makes sense, right? Back to basics. Yeah.
Back to basics. So many good conversations, a lot of freedom coming, I can feel personally. And like, I really like calling this journey a practice. Since Melody used that at our little group that gathers on Sundays, last week. Practice. Like, yoga is a practice because you're always practicing unifying your mind, body, and breath together into one space. And you'll never, ever arrive at perfect. It'll always be a constant state of practice. And she was like, the yogis have figured that out. And for some reason, Christians just haven't figured that out, that it's a practice. So it's not, oh, now I understand God and I understand divinity and now I'm perfectly sanctified. Like, No, it's a practice. I'm practicing freedom. I'm practicing understanding who I am, my identity, deeper and deeper and deeper, like more and more and more. So anyway, as I'm practicing these new levels of freedom, like the one thing that came up last night, somebody said, I don't actually remember exactly what the statement was, but I guess the context of it was like Jesus's ministry was not built around a pipeline. Like let's just use some of the phrases that nonprofits or businesses would be using. And again, not that it's bad, but like think about it truly. Jesus wasn't like, we need a pipeline of new investors into this ministry, so we're going to create up 3 sales funnels for this category, and this category. Like, he didn't do that. He didn't say, we don't have enough food to hand out to these people. He created more. He was a creator and a contributor. And he also didn't create lofty programs to walk with people for the rest of forever. Like, he didn't heal the people and then say, and don't worry, I have a 12-year program for you to follow into after this, where I'm going to take care of you from point A to point B. And he did the work, and then he let them go. And I think that's been one of my eye-opening things as I've been recently observing the nonprofit industry, is there's a lot of accidental enablement in the name of helping, in the name of philanthropy. But what we're not doing is we get the two confused, and it's relatively easy to do because you mean well and you want to help the person through. And there is a value on relational longevity that matters. But when you categorize it into a program, it feels unnatural, right? I don't know. And I'm not coming at all these like programs that are built for longevity. That's not the point. I think the point is more or less the lesson I'm supposed to be internalizing for Love Heals, which is, it is not in the past been seen as a positive thing that we come in, provide financial support, pay out the financial support, and go on. That's never been seen positive, at least from my encounters and conversations. But as of last night, after having that conversation of Jesus's ministry was to heal and to send and to heal and to send and to feed and to send and to, I'm like, oh, we have the opportunity to be a reflection of Jesus's ministry when we don't try to be all things to all people all the time, where we don't try to save the day and create a program where we do something for somebody for the next 5 years over the course of, like, it really is okay to just bless and move on. It doesn't mean we don't love those people. It doesn't mean we don't reach out. Like, but well, there's like a lack of pressure around it.
The impact isn't lasting. Either.
Doesn't mean the impact isn't lasting. Doesn't mean their life wasn't changed. Doesn't mean our lives aren't changed. So anyway, that has been, as of last night, very freeing. And then I met with Jeff Nitz today, who's the new CEO of 518, who we don't really partner with them quite yet. We work a lot with their staff on like kind of lower projects, but we don't have like a true established partnership yet. But I think one's coming. He told me 2 questions to ask myself before going into any conversation about fundraising. The first one, I think, was, is the money are you asking money for you? Or are you asking for money for the mission? That's a pretty standard question. But the second one was, am I doing a good job? Like, is the organization stewarding the funds well? Like, is there frivolous spending? Is there lack of accountability? If you can say no to all those things and yes to all of the positive things, like the money's going where they say it's going, the money's doing what we want it to do, the people are working how we want them to work, they're being financially responsible, then you shouldn't have a problem going in and but you have to feel stable in those 2 things. Like, is this a good investment? And I was like, oh my gosh, up until yesterday, I didn't feel like we were a good investment. This whole time, since 2023, I have not actually believed Love Heals is a good investment. That's crazy. I've believed we are like an honest investment. I've believed we're a transparent investment. I've believed the people we support and the sponsorships we provide are very transparent, good investments. But I haven't believed that I'm a good investment. I've even believed like you're a good investment, but like I haven't believed my position, and like I just haven't believed that because felt like I wasn't leading out the organization in a way that had longevity in mind, because of those conversations I had early on with people who meant very, very well, that told me that we needed to work on building systems of longevity for people to show that we care. I don't know, whatever the point they were trying to make, it led me to believe I wasn't the best investment for the organization, which makes it really hard to raise operationally when a huge part of that is paying for me to steer the ship. Like, that's just how it is. So anyway, that's why I wanted to talk about belief today.
It was like a good segue then. So go ahead and jump into what you wanted to talk about.
Well, I feel like belief is the theme of my current, today. We ended up getting into a very interesting conversation with one of the workers at Mid-State Group, because we meet in their building to do this. Thank you, Mid-State Group. And she asked what we were going to talk about, and I said that, and it opened up a very, very long conversation that we're not going to get into on this.
No.
But it was interesting, right? Like how just saying that statement opened up.
Well, you said several other follow-up statements that directed us
Well,
where
I
we were
would
going.
believe of like that human life is valuable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the core of what I was trying to say, that then took a lot of different, there was just a lot of different pathways to go from there. So it was interesting. Yeah. Good conversation, really good conversation. And honestly, pretty cool to have that conversation where we were coming from different sides of the track.
Yeah, very different beliefs.
Yeah, we probably by
social media standards.
Yeah, I was gonna say algorithmic.
By social media standards and by today's like climate standards, I don't think we would have had that conversation with that person, just because the beliefs that you kind of put out there were very different. But we did have a very, very good, very like civil conversation on like topics that are not normally discussed.
And we disagreed and landed in good it was just cool. One, wasn't expecting to have that conversation. So yeah. I'll sit and think about that more, mostly because I wasn't expecting, I guess I was believing in the worst, if that makes sense. And
what do you mean?
Like I would have normally veered away from having that conversation because I believed, right, that we would have never been able to, like, normally my stance in that would be to silence my opinion and to just probably like be quiet and move on. But instead choosing to step into like, there is a space I believe there is a space for communication despite differences. And it just panned out to be a cool conversation that allowed me to learn new things. And it was good. So all that to say, when I originally coined it, it did not have all that connotation in it of where that conversation went. So what I was thinking about with belief was, there's a couple still layers. So one is like belief that things will work out, belief that money follows mission, belief in abundance, belief in people not disappointing you, but actually living up to, like, belief in that if I let this go, someone else will come alongside. Belief that I do deserve, which even now sounds hard to say, but like belief that I do deserve an honest paycheck, like to live by. Belief that I am the current person in this, like I am the current best person to sit in this role at Love Heals. That's weird to say because I'm like, there's probably so many other people who are better, but I'm starting to internalize this belief that like I'm where I'm supposed to be. Does that make sense? Like it sounds so easy to say, but to really say it out loud.
I don't really believe any of those things about myself. So
Okay.
I think it's, I mean, I would venture to say it's probably pretty universally felt as far as self-doubt. Maybe not in all the work scenarios, just because unless you're starting something, but as far as like self-doubt and what you deserve, I think more people are kind of wired on the self-doubt end, I think. Or I'm wrong and I'm just projecting. But
Hard to say.
Those are things that I also like struggle to believe about myself. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
Believing changes everything. So I was talking to, again, Amy and I were voice memoing because I've been processing this concept of belief when it comes to, like, what I was processing was this position of, it's so easy to get into a desperate headspace with this. Even while we were both sick, I was like, I'm not working, I'm sick, I can't do anything, couldn't focus, blah, blah, blah. And in my brain, I had then taken that to the nth degree of, this is it, like Love Heals is going down, I gotta go get more donors, we don't have more donors, I gotta get more funding. Like it's obsessive, right? Like I am panicked. I am like really struggling to believe that I have time to be sick because I need to be out there getting the donors and getting the money and blah, blah, blah. And there's a grant and the grant's only open for this amount of time and blah, blah, blah. And this is competitive, blah, blah. Like, just like that was very overwhelming to me. So I did switch it into gratitude that I have a current position as of today that had space for me to be as sick as I was and to rest. So switching it to gratitude, right? Instead of fear.
No, that's good.
But as I'm thinking about all those things and coming out on the other side of being sick and getting back mental clarity, I just decided I don't want to be someone who's constantly striving for more. Like, I don't want to be that person. Does that... Now,
Interesting.
hold on. Let me clarify. I do want to do better. I really believe in growth. So that's not what I mean. But I mean, like, when I say more, I think I mean financially, because that tends to be where my deepest insecurity is like, am I financially stable? Is Love Heals financially stable? I don't want to be the person who's constantly like chasing the dollar, chasing money down, chasing more and more and more, and always living in fear and panic of whether or not we have enough. John Bellion, who I love as an artist, has a line in the song Luxury, I believe it is, talking about money, where he basically says, I knew she'd come around if I only sweat the music. And then the line carries on, like, I'm starting to believe it's a problem to my health because a hefty check can make me vomit on myself. So talking about like money shouldn't be your master, but she came when I sweated the music instead of the dollar. Such a theme, right? Like we hear that theme all the time. Like, don't chase the dollar, chase the this.
Money follows mission.
Right. But you also hear the other side of like fear, right? Of people like, well, you got to get a good paying job. You got to blah, blah, blah. So anyway, as I'm thinking through all those things, I'm talking to her about, or Amy sending a voice memo about like what I want to pursue with Love Heals. I'm talking about wanting to pursue mission over money. She was telling me that one of her idols in life is frugality, which I probably also would say that's one of mine. Addicted to saving, addicted to, or worshiping or trusting in my ability to save $1, right? And so she was like, something when I decided to live wealthy in my brain without that actually being true, like without me having all this extra stuff, she's like, somehow our financial position changed. Like my financial position changed through my belief of I am wealthy, not rich, like wealthy, different things. So I was like, that's so interesting. She's like, I don't understand how it works. And I'm like, me neither, but I want to hear more stories about that. I want to know more people who believed their way into the outcome they were looking for. So when it comes to money, which I know most people don't like to talk about, but it's like a real reality for us. Like, we need to find those things. I want to believe that we have everything we need to execute what we have to. And I want to pursue that. I want to be like known externally and internally in alignment as the people who do the most with what they have in gratitude and like trusting that more will come as needed. Like I really want to pursue excellence of mission, not excellence of our bank account being ginormous. And that's it's just new for me. So I'm like walking out this new territory of belief. Like, can I believe enough in our mission, enough in our people, enough in our raw talent that we're surrounded by, enough in our community, enough in these donors who donate to us and still say they want to help make the thing happen. Like, can I do what John Bellion said? Can I sweat that stuff? Can I like sweat that passion, which is the people, and trust that the money will come along? So anyway, that's kind of the belief I think I am trying to embrace.
That's cool. I think that's interesting because I think, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but just like while you're in that space, I think that you're wired to do that with more things than just money.
Do what part? Sorry.
The wanting more.
Oh yeah.
Cause
it's my personality type.
Yeah. It's like in friends and like your living situations and, like just where you are in life. So I think that's interesting and a good thing to look at in not just the money sense, but like in the way that you do life. Cause your other thing of wanting to like notice more of the small things in life.
Have we talked about that on here?
I don't know, but I mean, I don't remember, but you can.
We'll go ahead and finish that. And then we'll touch on it
to, and then you can kind of say whatever. But yeah, I think that goes hand in hand with like being present, noticing the smaller moments, and not waiting for the big, huge moments in life, and then not like resting in the fact that we have what we need, and not always wanting more and more. And I think that all ties in together in a very holistic way. But
yeah, probably. Yeah, that, I mean, what are they called? Glimmers? Is that what they're called? Those,
you can call them whatever you want.
What I saw something that I think you reposted. Yeah, don't wait for the big things to start living. And I found myself that that's where I am. Like, I'm always like, well, what's the next big milestone? Gotta get to those next big milestones. And I am kind of realizing like life is really disappointing if you're just waiting for big milestones, like big experience, big checkbox, like just check that off, big breakthrough, big whatever, financial gain, friendship. Like, I don't want just like acquaintances. I want like deep friends, like blah, like it's always like to the nth degree. And I'm realizing how much I'm not living. I am just waiting. So yeah, that part of what you were just saying was that I want to start living in the micro moments, because that's where life happens. It's also cheesy, but it's so hard to do. Like, it really is.
Yeah, it's really hard to do, to like live for the small things. But I think if you're able to like identify the small things and live for the small things, live for the micro moments, then they don't feel so small.
Yeah.
Like, if you're able to switch your mindset and you're able to like actually stop and appreciate whatever the small thing is, like you and I get wings on Monday. That's like a thing that we look forward to. Which is a dumb example. It's the only one I could think of in this moment. But like,
and I get to get them after yoga when I feel like really good and stretched out.
Yeah, so it's great.
Little
for
thing.
Like, yeah, if you can like learn to kind of be appreciative in those moments, and they don't feel as small, they do feel like stuff you can kind of sit in and enjoy.
Observing people and like,
I love doing that. Yeah,
humanity and yeah, that's a big one for me relationally. That's another area where I'm like always wanting more. And we were up with Liam looking at the houses up in Richmond for Christmas, and just like realizing we could, like, it's okay to have moments of connection with people that are then gone. Like they're just gone. Like that doesn't, I'm like someone who wants to hold on to everything and like tight fist and like try to like get everything I can out of whatever, which is honestly probably a really exhausting thing to be around, because I'm like trying to like squeeze every ounce of value out of something. So just learning how to be like, that was a cool conversation. I would like that. If I lived here, I would want to be friends with that person, but I don't live here and they're gone, and that's okay. Like I can just enjoy the moment
here and you never saw that person again. That's also
also fine. Yeah. Having moments of just like pure connection with no expectations of more coming out of it. So anyway, yeah, but the money area is like a huge, and honestly, how many nonprofits are dealing with this same issue but not talking about it because we don't talk about money? We don't want to talk about
a bunch.
Like, this is a huge issue, and it's not even just nonprofits, it's anything. Like, money is tough. Times are hard right now. Like, we are, and like, you could choose to focus on competition, lack of resources, or we could choose to say, I know the God who owns everything. Like, I know that God can do more through my prayers than that he can through my works. Like, I could spend all day in desperation, or I could pray more into. And anyway, so I think it's like a bigger issue. But what I noticed I was becoming was somebody who literally I hate this, but this is what I was becoming, like someone who sees dollar signs over people. That person has that car. That might mean this. That person has that business. That might mean that they'll give us this. Like, and I was feeling really conflicted in myself, because I was like, I just don't want to be that person, but I'm turning into that person. What do I do? Like, really, what do I do? Because like, I felt like I didn't have a choice, you know, like, well, we got to have money somehow, and I got to be smart, and I got to be the leader of this organization. It's my job to blah, blah, blah. So anyway, but I really want to lead from valuing and loving people and being passionate about the mission.
Yeah.
And I just want to like hold myself accountable to like not turning into someone who sees people as dollar signs to give me something, but as an opportunity to steward their dreams or their desires through us or through whoever. And anyway, it's tough. Like, it's hard, but I think there's so much more freedom believing that what you need will come if you pursue things with the right heart. So we haven't seen the full outcome, I'd say, of that. I mean,
of that concept?
Have we? I mean, we're in the middle of it, but I'm sure there's probably micro moments that we maybe haven't thought about to reflect on. Is there anything
as
you
far
can
as
think
like
of?
not chasing the dollar and
and just, I mean, I guess we're living proof right now. Kind of.
We had that whole list last year of things that we didn't end up having to spend money on. Well, we save somewhere
30.
around
Over. It was more than 30.
It had to have been over 50.
Close.
Somewhere in the range of just through relationships last year and
relationships, brother. That's crazy.
Yeah, through relationships and patience and trying to make wise decisions. We ended up not spending money on specific things or services, and then ended up, saving by not having to spend that. We saved around like 50 grand probably last year, just not making rash decisions and maintaining good relationship. And I don't think that was in an effort to not chase the dollar. I think that was more in an effort of like, how can we be scrappy and savvy? And
people coming alongside and saying,
and people coming alongside us and
like,
helping
they'll
us.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's necessarily, I think it like partially is. I don't know. I can't really think of a specific like other example right now, I don't think. But I'm sure there's a bunch, and I think that we'll see more of it now that we've kind of talked about that and having that kind of refreshed look on it. And especially if you feel like your outlook is changing on how you kind of perceive yourself and your value.
Yeah, it's all coming at the same time.
That does a huge number on your like just ability to function as a human. Is like actually valuing yourself. So that's cool.
It's coming all together. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see how it unfolds, but like, I just don't want to be miserable all the time, like stressed. Like, it's just not the way to live, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel we have the gift of having a small staff, but like still like the budget, like we just have to figure out how to raise the funds. Like that is inevitable. So, but that's like a gift. And I started saying that on Friday. Like I'm so grateful that we don't have someone cutting us checks like I'm so grateful that we don't have like a company or a person who's saying anything you need, I will pay for it. Like I got you, because that would have caused us to become, it just wouldn't have stretched us the way that it's stretching us. So like I'm somehow able in this moment, even now, to be like, even though I don't know how it's going to pan out, like I don't know if we're going to have enough next year. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to have enough in 6 months. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I know we're making plans and I know I'm doing my best, but like, I don't know if it's going to pan out. But like, I just feel, and that's back to the belief, like I just feel so grateful and trusting that this is all for a reason. Like that all of these hard lessons, all of these trial and error and doing it the hard way and trying stuff and throwing it away and nobody ever sees it. And like just the hours of time that nobody's seeing is going to mean something, and it's going to mean a lot more. It's just going to mean something. I don't know what it's going to mean. I really don't. But I can see it protecting us from some things down the road and teaching us how to actually get to the core of the issue rather than using Band-Aid fixes, which it's weird to say that money is a Band-Aid fix, but I think sometimes it is.
Yeah, money can be a Band-Aid fix, absolutely. I think if you don't have like the wisdom or like it's like when we talk about homelessness, that you can't really fix homelessness by just giving someone a house. Right. It's way too much of a compact issue. It's a mindset. It's does this person, do they need therapy because like they're not functioning well? Do they have a job? Do they know how to keep a job? Do they know blah, blah, blah? Like it's all these things. And I think that if we just got a bunch of money dumped on us without knowledge or experience, and like some healing stuff that you and I probably have needed to go through and probably still need to go through like separately as people, then the way that we use that money would be very different. So yeah, I'm sure there's a purpose. Hopefully
there is. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, neither.
There definitely is though. So
probably.
Cool. Well, that's what I had on belief.
Cool.
Do you have anything you want to talk about on belief?
Not really. I think belief is a harder one for me, identified only by when Rob started telling me that I need to believe that we'll raise, $40K by the end of the year or whatever, which we didn't. So,
but we shot for it.
Yeah. No, I think belief is just a harder one for me because I think, just because of the way that I'm wired as a skeptic, that like just because you believe something doesn't mean it's true, is like I struggle with belief being almost too much of this optimistic denial in certain contexts or in certain areas. Not really in anything that you just said necessarily, but the in general thing is in my brain, if I don't believe it, me telling myself that it's different isn't real. It's just in your brain. And I know that affects, like, it affects the way that you operate, which affects your outside world and can affect and blah, 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 and all this domino effect, butterfly effect, whatever. But it's, yeah, that's something I probably struggle with just because the logic skeptic side of my brain kicks in. And just the overall, like, contrarian bitchy side. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's a good spot where you're at in, like, kind of what you're learning. And I'm sure just by being around you, that will start to affect and poke me. So I think that's good. Yeah. So I think that's good.
I think it's good to say, like, out loud, because I felt weird, but I'm like, but I think it's true. And soon I'll say, but it is true. But I believe I am currently the best person to be in the position that I'm in. Like, I can't believe I'm saying that, because my self-deprecation wants to be like, no, there's so many people who would be better. But after having conversations with plenty of people over the last couple of weeks about wanting to give up my salary to pay a development person to blah, blah, blah. Just like affirmation externally, affirmation internally, and then mindset shift. And then what Sarah Hummel has said, which is, what's the word? Not calibrate. What's the word? When you need to align when you're like triggered and you need to like recenter, regulating your nervous system with God, not with this person, what they said, your parents, what they said, that paycheck, what that said about you. Like regulating your nervous system with God has been huge. Not even been practicing that long, and just the concept of it existing is changing me. It's crazy. So anyway, I think it's important for us to all kind of say that thing that we're a little like icked out to say.
But see, my logic brain, I don't think I'm the best person for this job. I think I'm available, my heart is in it, and I can do it. But I don't think that means I'm like the best person for this job. I do think there are other people. Like, that's just like... Well,
no,
yeah,
because how many people would give up financial stability, insurance, all the perks to say, I'm going to step into that and do it?
Probably a decent amount, but we just don't have a wide reach.
I don't think so, Sarah.
Okay.
Do you know how many people like I know that could be doing this? Like, I've extended the invitation for people to come and be a part of. You came to be a part of well before like a job was even on the table, like well before. Yeah. In a deep way. So it's truly like you can't teach passion. Everything else you can learn. Everything else is a course, natural gifting, whatever. But like you cannot force someone to be passionate. And that is why you are the best person to be in the spot right now.
Maybe.
Because you have passion. Yeah. If you didn't, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah, that's true.
If you didn't have passion for it, meaning the ability to long suffer for the mission, you wouldn't be here. How many people do we know that were somewhat passionate and fizzled out pretty quickly when it became inconvenient or hard, or they had to sacrifice?
Who?
So many. Think of all the people, like all the people we love, but they aren't passionate about it. They aren't going to suffer for it. They aren't going to risk their income. They're going to risk their extra activities. They aren't going to risk whatever. They wouldn't put it on the line. So anyway, that to me means that you should be able to say, and I can't make you say it, but like that to me is the start of at least what started to help me of like, no one else is going to sell out the way that I'm selling out for this. And therefore I should be in this position. Am I the best executive director in the world? Probably not. But am I the best person currently seated for this position at this organization at this time? Yes. There's no one who's going to do that, and there's no one who's going to do what you're doing. So that is what makes you the best person to be in this position. And that is where belief starts to kick in, and you can operate in the world through not the lens of like entitlement or better than, but just self-worth. Like you know. So anyway, the end. Shout out to Christine Avery for sponsoring this podcast.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and jump into it.
With Realty One. She's bilingual. She serves in Richmond. She's in Lynchburg. She's a great person. She's been doing this for a long time. If you're buying, selling, or upgrading or downsizing your home, is that all the things you can do?
Probably.
Maybe investing.
I don't know
What else
about
could
that
you do
one.
with a property?
I don't know.
If you're going to do something with property, call Christine Avery.
Great guess on all the.
She'll be linked.
all the things.
If you want to support our independent work, you can check us out at weareloveheels.org.
Yeah.
You can shop our online store. You can check out our upcoming events. If you want to support any of the people we are supporting and you want to walk alongside them, you can go to weareloveheels.org/events. You can follow us on all the socials.
Good
And
job.
we'll see you next time.
See you next week. Bye.